I told you it was cheesy. I told you it was cheesy.
I love it, actually.
So,
It's so
I'm like,
football.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I need to do something to where it's like introing, because last year I didn't do an intro. So this time I'm like, I can make an intro. Like if I do nothing else, I can make it like a cute little intro. And it's easy to like change it for the different teams. And so, it's football. So let's get
I
something in
It's
there.
so football-y. I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, welcome back, everybody. I have somebody here that I've talked to because believe it or not, this series probably is about 50-50, maybe a little bit, maybe like 60-40, maybe even 70-30 of people that I talked to before. And then I'm like mixing in people just getting new voices and things like that. So I am happy to have you back and I appreciate you for being here. So for those of you that are new here and you're here because you want to hear about the Carolina Panthers, before we go there, just want to say this is my 32 fan series, 32 different fans from all 32 of the different NFL teams. And so yeah, all preset questions. None of these are gotcha questions. We're just going to have a conversation about the team. This is also recorded May 1st. Calling that out because sometimes what happens is like big moves happen, big changes happen, injuries, whatever happens. And people will be in the comment section like, why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you say? It is May 1st. So we're not going to talk about it because we don't know about it. So if those good things happen, sorry, we don't know. Okay. So that's that. So I would like for you to introduce yourself. Let us know whatever you want to tell us. And then we'll get started about the Carolina Panthers because I have a lot of things to say. So I'm interested to see what you think and feel.
All right. Well, I'll keep the intro short because I know we have a lot to discuss. But my name is JJ Hardy. As you see on the screen, I'm the creator of Panthers culture. It started as a blog and evolved into for a while an apparel business, and it came back to its original intent. Like my whole intent was just to have a voice in the fan base, and I established that in my roundabout way. But I'm very happy to be seen as such. So that's who I am. You can find me at Panthers culture on Twitter. And you can follow me. I talk about a lot of stuff, but I consider myself an alternative voice, of the fan base. And so, there's no telling what might come from my page, but go out there and find me. You can follow me.
And I'll put all of this in the description notes too. So I'll just put a link so they can go find you.
Okay, that's cool. So just enjoy the ride if you decide to join.
I know. I'm telling everybody that like I'm interacting with because a lot of people I just started following them on Twitter just to kind of see. And then a lot of people I talked to last year, I followed them throughout the season. And so it was cool I had that time with everybody that I talked to, but it was cool then when the season was happening to see how they were like with their team. And I will be honest, on your Twitter account, like nothing you say surprises me. So let's just get that out of the way. But the way that you say it with such like, yeah, of course. Like, it's like, oh yeah, we're the Panthers. So this was going to happen. Or you're like, you're like, oh, he's injured and probably at the latter stages of his career. Yeah, make him a Panther. Like it's time. Like, so it's like just like certain things. And I love it because it's like so many people say, and I know you take this seriously. I'm not saying you don't take it seriously, but sometimes you just have to be like, we're not very good right now. We're just not very good. We don't make good decisions. Like that's just who we are. So I just appreciate that. So I'll definitely tag your Twitter in the description section because it's gold. Like it's an experience that everybody should experience. Just not saying that there. Yeah. So speaking of that, how was last season for the Panthers? This is a loaded question. And so let's start here. Let's say what song represented the season last year? And then what were your two most kind of like shocking moments from the season or things from the season where you were like, here we go with this again?
Okay. So which one you want me to start?
Use the song. Give me the song first so I can laugh. Because I don't know what you're going to say.
Well, you know what? I was actually thinking of modern things that are out right now. Like my kids keep me young, but the only thing that really like came to my mind and stuck was Joy and Pain by Frankie Beverly. And that really just, to me, it captures it because like every day is like more pain than joy. But the joy is just because I love football, right? So when good things happen, I'm having a good time. That's my happy place. But there's a lot of pain in Carolina, and it's been pain in Carolina ever since like 2017, right? So a lot of pain, but a lot of joy, and I'm just trying to get the pain and joy back in order. Like I want more joy than pain, and I want the joy to come first. And so I think we've had enough pain, so I'm looking forward to the joy.
Yeah. What were two things this year? Because I can think of two things for me. I'm not a Panthers fan, where it happened and you were just like, here we go with this. Oh gosh. What was that?
So, I mean, obviously, it's week one. It's our first offensive possession. And Bryce Young's first pass is an interception. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's how we starting this. It literally was like so deflating for me as a fan. And honestly, the context to that is all during the training camp. Like, if you follow me, then you've seen my fans, well, not my fans, but Panthers fans,
right,
engage with me about my opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all last summer during camp, and when the preseason began, the Panthers did not want to play Bryce Young in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like that was like a tremendous mistake because I was like, we have a new head coach who is also the play caller. You have a second-year quarterback who struggled during this rookie season. They've never been in a live game scenario with each other. Like they need to like go through this so they can feel what it feels like to actually be able to like hit him to be able to adjust to like real people actually tackling and feeling that. And all of our fans was just like, oh, you're tripping, man. Like, you're always complaining and this and that. Like, you got to trust the process. They know more about football than you. And I was like, honestly, I'm just at the age now where I don't always just accept that because I'm well old enough and I've seen a lot of football. I know I don't, fancy myself a coach or a GM or anything. But I've seen a lot of football, and I've seen good football teams and what they do, and I've seen bad football teams and what they do operationally. And I just knew, like, what we were doing was setting up Bryce and everybody else for disaster. So to see that actually manifest on the first pass, your season is trash when your first pass attempted interception. And so it was almost like
not the season.
Yeah, it was like, how can it get better from here? And we got blew out that game.
Yeah.
It was against New Orleans. And so like that was like the first here we go again moment. And then I would say like the second here we go again moment, was, I mean, I hate to say it, but it was like we get Andy Dalton who replaces Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts out well. And, honestly, for a lot of us, we were like, okay, this is what the offense should look like. There's some hope.
He looked pretty good at first.
Yeah. And then, when, I guess teams got tape on him or, like he started being predictable in terms of like he was talking to Deontay Johnson. When that started to fall off the tracks a little bit, then I was like, oh, there's really no hope. Like this is crashing in all the way around. Like, so he has lost it. There's nothing to be excited for. And then and kind of like a combo answer is that when they went back to Bryce, because somehow the thumb, like Andy Dalton's thumb got hurt in the car accident. He couldn't play anymore, even though he said his thumb was okay to play. They decided to push back the Bryce, which ultimately ended up okay. But Deontay Johnson really just out. He was like, I don't want that. And so I don't want to play football anymore. That's what it appeared to be. And it's another Panther moment, right? So it was just like, how in the world? And Deontay Johnson well because he's a former Steeler. Yep. So the Deontay Johnson that everybody feared just manifested.
Yeah.
Because Bryce was getting back in the game. And after that, I was just like, okay, this season can't get any worse.
This is, yeah. Okay. That's fair. I think so. Okay. There's so many things I could say about your Twitter because it's always spot on. And I think I think people get mad at you because the why people get mad at me in the Colorado space is when your team's not very good, but you want them to be good. You don't want somebody to tell you that your team's not very good. Like you just, because it doesn't feel good. You already kind of know it and you sense it. But when somebody kind of says it out loud and validates it, it makes you kind of feel away. And so you almost attack the message. And I'm like, no, but I'm just telling you, we can't tackle. Okay. You don't want to believe we can't tackle. Okay. So okay, let's talk about free agency because I have some draft thoughts. So let's talk about free agency first. After the season was over and you kind of go, okay, well, that wasn't very good. Here we go again. What were you hoping for in free agency and how do you think that you all did in free agency?
Well, I'll be honest. Free agency started off a little off for me because I think the first thing we did was like keep some of our old, right? So like for me, I'm a person who really liked to see some turnover when things didn't go well.
Right, because you weren't very good. Why are we keeping these people?
Yeah, like they said that's the definition of insanity, right?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And so first thing we did was like we had like the oldest long snapper in the league. And I know that's like for people, who follow the team, like he's such a like local legend and he still does a pretty good job as a long snapper. And I know I'm bringing this up for a point, a long snapper. Like nobody should talk about long snappers. And the dude is a great guy, right? But Carolina has always felt like a place that, at least recently, I won't say always, at least recently, it feels like a place that's more concerned with, taking care of the family, keeping the good guys.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
More so than getting better, right? Like being a little bit more cutthroat, because I see good teams do cutthroat things all the time. And Carolina, I think they're just so happy that certain guys want to be in Carolina. So they allow for certain guys to just stay or overstay. I think they're welcome. Like having a 40-year-old long snapper, it's a cool story, but like, is it making your football team better? Just because what he's going to give you, right? And it's not going to translate to any success. Yeah, he still does a solid job. Like, he has more experience than anybody in the NFL at doing it. And it's not a physically demanding position. I get it. So everybody's like, oh, Panthers country, why are you so like you're such a butthole? Like you want this guy to get cut. He's a great guy. Like
nobody cares. Yeah. I want to win football games.
Yeah, just to win football games. And even if you don't upgrade in terms of like somebody technically proficient at that position, you getting younger and potentially getting a guy who can be a long snapper but can also be better in special teams, like in terms of getting downfield and tackling or something. He's faster, more athletic, younger. Let's just try something different. But I'm gonna move on from that. But it was just like I was upset with it because it was like we're too sorry to be complacent and like doing this stuff. And so then the next guy that we re-signed was Andy Dalton, right? And it's like, okay, Bryce did well at the end of last season. He started out horrendously, right? But he did well, and I'm happy for Bryce. So it was like, what can we do to keep Bryce on a level in terms of like his mental game, right? So bringing back a backup that makes him feel comfortable, right? And I was like, I don't know if that's really the approach because like if your intention is to get better as a team and like to build a better roster around Bryce because now he's established that he belongs in the league. Like I want somebody who can play the QB, the backup QB at a higher level. So in case Bryce gets hurt, like we can actually stay competitive because the guy that comes in has a little juice too, and he can keep your team competitive even if the starter goes out. And I'm not saying that Andy Dalton is a bad backup, but Andy Dalton, I do believe he's like 36 to 37 years old. I have to check, my notes on that. I haven't researched it in a while, but we already know what the ceiling is for Andy Dalton. I know that he's not being asked to be a starter, but like last season, we have to
He's
depend on him.
37.
He's 37, right?
He's 37.
That's what I thought. And so, like, why not do like other teams do and like get a young guy who you can develop behind Bryce, right? And so if you have to play him, like he comes in and he shocks the world potentially, rather than saying, okay, like if Bryce gets hurt or anything, and he's been fairly durable in his career, to Bryce's benefit, but it's still the NFL, and he's still the smallest NFL quarterback in this era. So you're the guy that you can depend on in case Bryce goes down or in case he underperforms again. And it's the guy that you feel like, like Dave Canales is known for being a QB whisperer and great, developer of quarterbacks. Like he should want another guy that he can like pour that knowledge and his system into, and then like get the potential out of that guy. Because the worst thing that can happen is something I go back and see when I look at like the old Patriots situation. Like they drafted Jimmy G, and then like even though he never became the full-time starter, like they were able to trade him away because he had value, even right. And so I didn't want to invest a high draft pick in a guy like that, but I was like in free agency, you could have gotten a Jameis Winston type, a little younger, a little bit more dynamic, arm is still a little bit more lively than Andy Dalton, or any of the other backup QBs who may have been available. But Andy had continuity, and all that nice stuff. And I'm just like, it's just too much of the nice stuff in Carolina.
It sounds very friendly. It sounds very much like we want you to like us. Please stay and hang out. And you're like, go get a dog.
Go get all dogs.
Like go get somebody that wants to take his job. Like don't get somebody that's like, it's fine. I'm older. I don't have many years left. Get somebody that's like, I want to be the starting quarterback.
Yes.
I don't care about Bryce Young.
You got it.
I see what you're saying.
100% it. And it doesn't matter if the person is talented enough to take Bryce's job. I want his mentality to be like, I want that.
Yeah. Well, let's go there, right? Because you had me convinced in the draft, that you all were taking Jalen Walker. I was convinced. You had me convinced that was a pick. You made me believe it made the most sense. And I bought it. I was all in. I'm all in for it. I'm like, that's the pick. He's phenomenal. He has the mentality. He has the attitude. He has the physical characteristics. He's going to be great. It's a perfect pick. They're going to do it. And then they took T-Mac. And I was like, okay. So how did you feel about the draft? What was your favorite pick from the draft? And what was your least favorite pick from the draft?
Okay. So you're right. So the build up to the draft, everybody who's watching this understands the hype, right? And I think for a content creator like yourself, and I don't know if I'm like exactly a content creator, but I pour a lot of time and energy and research, and I'm on these shows and talking about the team a lot. So
you're the one with the grumpy face on the shows,
right? And I have had that. And so
you're like I'm having fun, I promise.
You're right. And so a lot of that grumpy faceness was because things weren't going my way in mock scenarios, right? And so, but I wasn't too worried about the mock scenarios because like all the tea leaves as it related to Carolina, I would say 90% of the tea leaves all led to Jalen Walker. And although I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, I live in Georgia, about 30-some odd miles from Athens. So all I see is Bulldogs, right?
Right.
And so on the local news, it's Bulldogs. And so all that the afternoon sports shows is Bulldogs. And Jalen Walker is the obvious alpha here in Georgia, in Athens. Everybody knows it, right? And then, his running mate, Michael Williams, everybody thought that he was the most talented person on that team, defensive player on that team. So he had the highest ceiling. And so when I saw that Carolina was linked to these guys early in the process, and then I started going into like who they were and what made them special besides the things I saw on tape. And so during the season, I watched a lot of ball. And so when I watched Georgia play in their games this year,
you're unfortunately a Notre Dame fan. Unfortunately.
And I am. Unfortunately. Fortunately, I don't know his name. I'm lucky to be an Irishman. Let me clear that up. But I'm here in Georgia, so I see all their stuff. And I'm watching, and I'm like, 11 pops off the screen every time.
Every time?
Every time, he's making big splash plays. He's getting them off the field. And, early in the process, because we were already out of the playoffs, so I'm already thinking about who we're going to draft even during the season. I'm focused on Abdul Carter. Bryce decides to turn into Superman at the most inconvenient moment to beat Atlanta in the last game of the season. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that erases the Abdul Carter dream. So let me focus on who I thought was the next best player defensively in the draft. And to me, that was Jalen Walker. And so seeing us linked to him, all the build-up, we finally at draft night, April 24th, I'm ready. The 8th pick come up, and having a lot of talk about us trading back if he had gone off the board, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, like he's there. It's about to happen. It's about to be Jalen Walker. And then, I'm trying to watch it on television, and my son is like, don't ruin it, Dad. Don't look at your phone, like, just wait. And I'm like, it's impossible. Like, I want to know. And so I'm looking at my phone, and I see, like, the news was broke by like some like non renowned sports page.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, McMillan. I don't know if
you're like, no way. Yeah, he doesn't know. Yeah,
no way. Like that's just somebody that's just trying to be first. And I was like, looking at the screen, I'm like, I need shelter, somebody to tweet it, and eventually one of them did, and I was like, okay, like it's really not happening. And what was, I'll be real for like all the Panthers fans, and just to be consistent, late in the process, I saw a little hype about McMillan. I mean, some fans were like dead set on getting him because like those fans really want to see, in my opinion, they really want to see Bryce be successful because Bryce has been their guy, right? And they to me, some of them care more about his individual success than our overall success because they want to justify why they love Bryce so much. And so they felt it was more important to continue to give him, some of the elite talent that other teams have around their young quarterbacks. And, so they were always pushing against, the defensive agenda. And so I forced myself to like at least study Ted to see like how I thought he fit. And just objectively speaking, I was like, okay, I'm watching him to see if I can find like glaring weaknesses. And when I watched it, I was like, you know what? He doesn't look bad. He's big.
I don't think he's bad. It's just, I mean, he obviously doesn't love football and doesn't watch film, but I don't think he's a bad athlete.
He said that was his freshman year,
But my point is like, again, like you said, if you're a team that's trying to get if you ever have said that on camera, I don't like it because that shows me you have bad tendencies.
And to me, honestly, when I first read that, I was like everybody else. I was like, okay, like I don't like that. I even said, personally, before I ended up watching the film on him, I said to myself, I was like, I'm not going to waste any time watching film if he doesn't waste any time watching film of himself. like how am I watching a film of Ted than he has watched of himself? Like that's ridiculous.
That's funny.
So I'm not going to waste time doing that. We're picking Jalen Walker, baby. But I decided to anyway. And, and honestly, again, I just came away with he's big. In terms of stature, he's tall, rangy, he can jump, he runs fast enough, he's a friendly target for a quarterback. I said to myself, I can see why Dave Canales would draft him amongst like the other guys he could draft if he waited for, right? And
you're better than me because I don't get it.
I mean, I'm honestly, some of it is trying to just get with
it's your fandom. Okay, because you can't change it. It is what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
I can't control it. Like I just justified them doing that. And this is, and I think if I was just a fan and I didn't have like this page that has a little traction that people follow me and like, you know, whether they respect the hate my opinion, like they interact with it, I'd probably just be mad about it, right? Just flat out, I'm mad we didn't go defense. But because I track like the entire fan base and I can see sentiment, like there's a part of me that knew that if we went defense and then we came out and the defense was like markedly better, but Bryce was like just steady and didn't improve, then a lot of fans would have said it's because they didn't invest in a top tier talent, right? And so now that they've invested in their weapon of choice for Bryce, and they believe that it's going to make him better, I think there's only one thing left to see. And if he actually gets better with the weapon they thought would make him better. And that's just for my fellow fans. It's like, okay, you got what you thought Bryce needed. We can go ahead and kill the conversation about the front office not supporting him, you know, the organization not supporting him, and in general, his coach not supporting him. They gave him the guy that he allegedly stood on the table for. They say he threw with him in California early in the offseason. He let the Panthers brass know we need to draft this guy. And they gave him his guy. And so now that we have given him his guy, they prioritized him a second year in a row.
I'm so nice. I'm so glad they were so nice and friendly to Bryce.
See, don't make me.
They made him feel very comfortable.
They made him feel very loved and
supported and comfortable and all
and secure, like they did, right?
Safe and heard.
It was a pick of affirmation, right?
Yeah,
it was a pick of affirmation, and so we are past that point in discussing what the team has done to support Bryce. They gave him a receiver with the top pick for the second year in a row. It's a top 10 pick. The Panthers that never did that in their history spent a top 10 pick on a wide receiver. So we have done it now. Fans who are watching who wanted that, you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
I hope that we got better collectively. But like you said, it is a little of me kind of like coping and adjusting to what they did versus what I thought they should do.
Oh, go ahead.
I said I thought it should have been Jalen Walker. And then like the little twist of the knife was that Atlanta used their first pick to get him.
Yes.
You know how crazy that was?
No, I mean, but that is what separates franchises.
Yeah.
It's like you have one organization who knows they need to go defense. Everybody knows they need to go defense. Everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. But the team doesn't know it because they want to make their quarterback comfortable. Instead of going to get a really, 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 really good receiver, they decided to go get a great receiver, which is fine, but like your team is not good. You don't build your team from offense. Like respectfully, I could be wrong. He's not like Jamar Chase. Like he's, you know what I'm saying? Like he's going to be fine, but he's not like
I think
a game destroyer. Yeah. And again, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But that wasn't your team need. And now you have to deal with him.
Right.
Like,
what
was your least favorite pick? What was your least favorite? Like what pick did you just go, oh, here we go with this crap?
The 4th round pick, Travis Etienne.
Etienne.
Yeah. And
you tweeted. What did you tweet? Didn't you tweet like, there's our yearly running back? Or did you tweet something about?
Well, I mean, I tweeted about the pick. He wasn't the running back I expected. Right? I like Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee better. I like what's the name? Bashar Smith out of SMU. I like Blue out of Texas.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that we needed somebody that was more dynamic, a better pass catcher, but somebody who could just like hit a home run. Right? ETN is, to me, compared to like the running backs we have, and Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, I think he's more in the line of who they are. And in ETN, for me personally, I like what I saw out of ETN at Florida more than what I saw from him at Georgia, because the same games where I fell in love with Jalen Walker and Michael Williams, when they were on offense, they were handing the ball off to ETN, and he didn't look as special in Georgia's system as he did when he was in Florida. And so, I saw other guys who were on the board who were more special than him when I watched them than ETN was. And for some reason, I think it's like, just like I just mentioned, right? I think they were so focused on the Georgia guys, and even though they didn't pick the guys that we thought they were picking from watching that tape, they ended up, since they spent so much time on Georgia, I think they ended up seeing ETN more than they saw some of the other running backs, right? I think they had more eyes on him and had more footage of him from watching those games. And I think they were like, okay, I think he's a guy that can do what we do. And I think their approach on offense this year is to, at the running back position, is that if Chuba Hubbard has to go out, then they can just keep doing the same thing in the run game. And I thought,
because of the consistency in the position.
I just thought the third guy should have been a guy that offered a change of pace and could do something a little different.
Yeah,
but it feels like they want all three of their guys to all be the same. So in case anybody goes down, they got two more guys who can keep doing the same thing. And I'm just like, okay.
But even that sounds crazy, if I'm honest with you.
It does. It really does. And so I was more focused on the guys who were different than what we had.
Right.
And they were focused on.
Your team's like, no, the same. We were so bad last year that we want to repeat it. We want the same. Give us more of that. Like, hey, what was like last year when we weren't good? Yes, another one, please. Sign them up. Come on, like bring them on.
Last year, I think they were on track. It's just unfortunate what happened. Like Jonathan Brooks, I thought was very different from Chuba.
Yeah.
And just his injury thing, and it put us in position to need to draft another running back. Yeah. But again, I thought they would go more in that direction if they was going to go with the guy.
Gosh, what? Blue would have been perfect. Blue actually would have been dynamic, especially because of your number one pick. He would have really offset that offense a little bit. He would have maneuvered it, and that would have, yeah. Well, what do you know? What do you know?
Nothing.
So having said that, so what are your expectations this year? Like, what? So the question is, are you all rebuilding? Are you contenders? Are you going to win your division? Are you going to the Super Bowl? Where are you at in terms of, are you going to have another top 10 pick next year? Like, where do you think the Carolina Panthers are at?
Okay. I'm a fan, right? So, and I lean into that more so than being like other people who are in this space who claim to be like analysts, right?
Okay.
Analysts, they want to make their names off being objective and being respected for like how much they're right rather than being a fan. I lean into being a fan, right?
Okay.
So despite whatever sentiment you've heard from me up to this point, I do believe we're better on defense. I think we still have a couple of things to address. So I need to see, like what the safety situation and the cornerback situation looks like before I can like really lean into this answer.
That's fair.
I'm gonna give you an answer though. And then we picked Tetairoa McMillan first, but I love my tight end out of Notre Dame, and I think he actually gets in the rotation pretty early. Mitchell Evans. And I think Bryce actually needed that more than he needed like a number one receiver. And people don't know what I mean there, but we had JT Sanders coming back. He's going into his second year. He was kind of a disappointment.
Good old JT.
Yeah,
I was surprised too of his lack of production.
Yeah, but there's something that I found when I went back and looked at his numbers. His numbers spiked when Adam Thielen went down. Adam Thielen missed like 7 games due to a hamstring, and JT was producing during that stretch. when Thielen came back, JT happened to get hurt, as well. But like I never saw them productive at the same time. I think when Thielen is a game, I call Thielen a skinny tight end, right? Because he's not going to threaten you deep, but he like lives in the zone coverages, right? He's so crafty and he's seen it all, so he knows where to sit down. He's very friendly for Bryce, and so Bryce looks to him as a security blanket, when he's out there. I think without Thielen, I think Sanders was the security blanket. I think he looks for the intermediate target that's like 7 to 10 yards downfield, and he can trust where they're going to be. And he's pretty good, Bryce, in the middle of the field. And so I think Mitchell Evans is going to add to that. I think, we run a lot of double tight end sets, and I think our offense is going to be on schedule this year. And so that being said, I do think Bryce is he's going to improve or stay at least on the trend he was on when we ended last season. So thinking that we're going to be better on offense because of the additions of McMillan and because of Mitchell Evans and some of the younger guys that we picked up in the receiver room. I think at least 1 or 2 of them make the team. We got a Clemson legend that came back in Hunter Renfrow. So they're excited about that. I don't know if he makes the team, but it's excited to see him back and competing to make the squad. I think a receiver like him is actually more of what Bryce needs than a receiver like McMillan, because I think he lives in the short and intermediate, and a guy that can separate quickly and that he can get the ball to quickly and they can make a play. I think that does more for Bryce than a big, tall target. But we'll see. I think overall we're better. So offensively, we're better. I think we're going to score more points. And defensively, I like what they did in free agency, with getting Trevin from the Raiders. He's going to be added to the safety room. He's great against the run. And then we added Pat Jones II from the Vikings. We added Tank Wharton from the Chiefs. I thought he was really good for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
You know him. And so we have Wharton, and then we added Bobby Brown. And that's probably the most underrated defensive addition we made. He played nose tackle for the Rams defense last year. I happened to be working with one of the current Rams young players, and he was working with my son's trainer here in Atlanta. And I pulled the guy aside, and he told me, he was like, man, he said, y'all got Bobby. And he said, Bobby, although he started for us and knows, he could have done more in the pass game, rushing the quarterback than he did. But we had so many defensive linemen who were pass rushing specialists that they would rotate him out on pass downs. And so he didn't get to showcase his athleticism and ability to get the quarterback. But he was like, I hope that Carolina lets him do that because he's a freak athlete, and I hope that y'all let him showcase his full ability. So, we picked him up. So the defensive line got a lot better. I think linebackers still.
So I want to tell you one thing right now. If you're gearing up to tell me that you have your team winning the division,
no,
we're going to be on this for 4 hours because you're.
It's not. I don't know what record wins the division, right? But I do think we won 5 games last year, right? I think we are at least, because we lost 2 games that we should have won.
One of them, I think I literally DM'd you, and I was like, did they just blow it?
Yeah. And so that probably was Philly. We should have won Philly. If Leggett makes the catch, we win that game.
It was that, and there was another one.
The Chiefs.
The field goal.
We had the Chiefs beat, and Patrick Mahomes runs a 50-yard run that the nickel corner decided to not try to tackle him. And, it's just a Pat Mahomes play, too much time left. They get in field goal range, and they kick and win the game. So we should have won that game.
Okay, so y'all won 5 games last year.
We should have won.
with that. So
We
with
really
okay,
should've.
and then how many did Tampa Bay end up winning to win the division? Do you know?
I want to say it was around like 10. I think they were 10-7. I don't think they were 11-6. Let me see.
Okay, let me just.
Buccaneers record. I think they were 10-7. They weren't great because we were all pretty close. Well, the division was pretty close down the stretch.
I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, they were 10-7.
Yeah.
So they were 10-7. Falcons were 8-9. You all were 5-12 with New Orleans 5-12.
And we had Tampa beat, and we lost the game against Tampa in overtime because we just could not stop the run. And so
that freaking defense, man.
That's the defense, right? And so if we got better at stopping the run, like we were historically bad at stopping the run, and we gave up the most points in NFL history last year.
Okay, so say what you think then. I can't wait for this.
Like I said, I'm a fan first now, so
okay. So tell me, I need to see if you're like delusional, or if you're just like understandably delusional.
I'm not. I think we're 9-8.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I think we're 9-8. I think we have potential to be, given the things that happen in the NFL, I think we have potential to be 10-7-ish. If we get lucky and get a couple of breaks, I won't say 11, but I'll say 10-7. I'll say 10-7. I think we should expect 10-7, right?
I think that's fair. You know what? Yeah. That is fair. That is fair. That is totally. I respect that.
Yeah, I expect us to be 5 games better if the offense got better and the defense got better.
Yeah. Well, I have news for you. The Steelers will probably be about 10-7, 11-6. So you're in good company. Anyways, this isn't about that.
I mean, if it's Mason Rudolph,
you know what? I have made a pact with myself that I am not going to say anything negatively about Mike Tomlin until the first game of the season. I nothing positive to say right now. So I'm just gonna let it ride.
So let me ask you. I mean, this is about the Panthers, but quick answer. If Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, how do you feel?
What was the question?
If Aaron Rodgers is the Steelers quarterback, how do you feel?
I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care if you're the quarterback.
Okay.
If you can help us win, that's what I care about. I'm at the stage now where we need to win. So if you tell me that to win, Mason Rudolph is our starter and he's going to lead us to a playoff victory, cool. I'm not hard to please. I don't care. I don't care if they made an announcement that said George Pickens is going to be the quarterback and he's been training and he's going to lead us to victory and he goes out there and leads us to victory. I tell people I'm a simple fan. I don't care. I'm a program woman. And when you're a program woman, all you want is wins. So if he called me if they announced tomorrow TJ Watt is the new quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers and we're going to the playoffs, we're going to win a game, you know what I'll say? Okay. Let's see.
I respect.
Yeah, so that's why for me I'm like there's so much I can say, but I let Tomlin do what he does and I let him build his team and do the thing, right? Do it. That's fine. But when it's time, right? Don't come like we've been down this road now, like 7 years. like what are we doing, bro? So that's how I feel now. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm not even going to say anything else. Like, when you're kids, you're like, I'm not going to tell you again. I'm not going to tell you again. Clean your stuff up. I'm not going to tell you anymore. That's how I feel. Anyway. So if Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback, then I expect, you know what I mean? I expect to be in the playoffs and I expect to win a playoff game. And if he doesn't do that, then we have failed.
Gotcha.
So that's all right. Yeah. So anyways, because we are drafting anyways. So what is your most okay, so this is actually a good question then. What do you feel like your most underrated, overlooked either player is or position group for your team?
I really think the offensive line.
Fair.
I think the offensive line. I mean, and I don't know if they're underrated anymore because like everybody took notice last year. Um, I think with more success, they get more notoriety, right? Because
Yeah,
we had a really good offensive line, especially when you compare it to like the offensive lines that preceded it. But because we only won 5 games, I don't
nobody
think
cares.
they had enough success for like the league to take notice of how good they were, right?
Yeah,
And and especially like early on, when I remember, like fandom is so different now because like everybody's so focused on the quarterback, and it's like they treat
I don't
quarterbacks like
get that.
personal
Yeah,
Pokemon guys, right? And so early when Bryce struggled, they were, you would have guys go back and like do film cut-ups like QB school. I'd like to see his like cut-ups of the games and stuff. And I remember like watching the games back, through their all 22 views, and like Bryce had like these perfect pockets, but he still had bad tendencies that carried over from last year. He was
mm,
still drifting backwards, to like find room to throw and getting himself sacked or in trouble. And it was like, dude, like the line is actually like holding up. Like you just
pretty
got to
good.
stand tall and make a throw. But he didn't trust it yet. So I think like because he wasn't ready over the first 2 games, although they played well, they didn't get noticed for playing well because like good play didn't come from it. That makes sense. And
Yeah, that makes
so,
sense. Well,
and
so
so
wait, well, so I'm going to stop you because I think this might be the answer to the next question too. Like, what is a hot take about the Panthers, like that you think as a fan that maybe the fan base doesn't agree with you on? Do you think the fans think that you all have a good offensive line?
I think they do. I think most of them do now because they've
Okay,
seen Bryce be successful.
cool. Okay,
Yeah. Before he had success with it, I think some questioned if we were still a good offensive line because they saw him like scrambling and like running,
yeah,
which was bad fundamentally, but they saw the negative result as the offensive line struggling when in fact his drifting back allowed for his offensive tackle to maybe lose his block, and he ran right into a sack or ran right into pressure. And so to them, it's like, oh, the offensive lineman stuff because he didn't hold the block. But reality was like Bryce kind of like set his lineman up to give up a sack.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it was things like that. But so I mean, a hot take for the team is really like a negative take.
No,
Um,
yours
and
is your hot take is negative.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not like a positive, but it's not like a bad thing either. The hot take is Chuba was like a top 10 running back by all metrics last year. But Chuba is also the same guy that this front office and head coach, the offensive head coach, was trying to replace with Jonathan Brooks, right? Jonathan Brooks
Mhm.
being hurt allowed for Chuba to play behind the same really good
Offensive
offensive
line.
line, and he
Yeah,
had a career year, right? So now fans believe that we found our running back one, right? Now, our running back one for what, since 2021 had been our running back two. And now they think we got our running back of the future. And uh, my hot take is I love Chuba. I think he's done it the right way. I think because he was running back two for all of his career until last year, I think he has like less wear on his body than most running backs at this point in their careers. But I think we need somebody more special at the running back position in order for the offense to look the way it should look. I think he's going to come back and do fine again because I think the offensive line is, like I said, I think that's an underrated
it's pretty
unit.
good.
I think they
Yeah,
run block very well. But we know that Cuba, really isn't a great, home run hitter in terms of the NFL running back. He was that at college, but not in the NFL. I want to see a home run hitter in the backfield. That's why Jonathan Brooks was exciting to me. And
yeah.
so we still don't have that guy. And fans, I want them to accept that. Like Chuba is good, Rico Dowdle is a good backup to Chuba. ETN is a good third back to those two backs. None of them are special. And I think we need a special guy.
Okay.
So
okay. So if you were GM for one day, what would you do? Like, what would be the very first thing you would do?
That's hard now because, like, so many of our needs are met. I want to be more mean than I am, but I choose positivity.
You got one move. What's your move gonna make? What's your move gonna make? What move are you gonna make?
Well, I mean, honestly, right now, I'll just keep it fair. For right now, based on the construct of our team, I probably would go out and trade for like a defensive captain type guy. I don't think we have like a natural leader of the locker room type guy. It's not like when Baltimore went and traded for Roquan Smith. I believe they traded. Yeah. He instantly brought leadership, to that Baltimore Ravens defense. They've always had like a leader, and it always showed up on Sundays. I think Carolina has lost its defensive leader ever since Luke Kuechly retired. And so, like, JC is a great defensive player. Derrick Brown is a really good defensive player. I don't think neither of them are like the guys who the rest of the defense looks to call the plays and to like close out a game when it's time to close out. So I want like the guy that I look to for that. Like, I pay attention to like the guys who you see like pregame, like breaking the team down, getting them hyped.
All the nuances.
Mario Davis.
Yep.
I like Fred Warner.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have a dog like TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Like a guy
I know
that
exactly what you mean.
We know that when the game needs to be closed out, you're going to make the play, but you don't just make the play, on the field. Like, you are a vocal leader, and everybody hears you first, and then you actually follow through. And like, the Panthers don't have that game record, game closer. And so, since we don't seem to prioritize,
so that would be what you would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. I could see that because, so we're gonna do the overtime round, which is my favorite. It's kind of like a quick round where, because if I give you too much time to think about it, you're gonna change your answers. So I gotta throw it at you. So the first question is, in our overtime, we have 4 overtime questions. So, and before anybody, I don't know if I said this, I sent questions. Okay. Like, I'm not honestly throwing these at him and he's never heard of these. Okay. So like, this isn't a gotcha. So this is like, don't think that, but, which division rival do you love to hate the most and why?
For some reason, I hate Tampa.
Okay.
I hate Tampa. It's easy to say Atlanta, but I live here, and they're really hard. Like, if you live here, they're really hard to hate. Like, the whole game experience in Atlanta is so dope, and like, so like, like, for like the culture,
culture. That's what I heard from. Yeah, I did my taping with the Atlanta Falcons fan. He said the same thing.
But everything about Tampa sucks. Like, the stadium looks like a toilet bowl in the middle of nowhere in Tampa. Like, their fans kind of suck. Like, I don't like the city of Tampa. When I go down there, like, I hate it every time I go. And so it's easy to hate them. So I'll say Tampa.
Okay. If you could change one thing about your franchise, ownership, stadium, uniforms, location, anything, what would it be?
They're going to hate me for this. Owner. The owner. The owner's actually, he's a Pittsburgh guy. And
why does he suck? You know what? Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
No answer. Okay.
Yeah, don't answer that. Well, let's keep you clean. Don't answer that. So, yeah, if you could swap out one player from your team with a rival, or if you can't think of one from your rival in the NFL, who would it be and why?
I don't see the Panthers as having a true rival. The fan base thinks that we do, and they believe that it's Atlanta. And from that team, I would pick Bijan for the same reasons.
Bijan.
Yeah, I would pick B. John because like I can't imagine if he had the same running lanes that Chula had. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And then the last question is describe your team's fan base in 3 words. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some people are using like a short sentence statement that has 3 words in it. Some people are saying actual 3 words. So this is your episode. You say whatever you want because I didn't realize this question was going to create different things, but it has. So 3 words, however you want to give them to me.
I'm gonna do it in 2, and just
Okay.
gonna keep it real.
Okay.
They're my people, you know, like they're just my people, and I say that with all the love and the hate, you know, like it's like a family, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but just because like your blood don't mean that you gotta like all the time, right? You
Yeah.
know, you got that favorite cousin, you know, but then you got that cousin that you hate to come over grandma's house. Like they always eating with their mouth open. They're
Yep.
always super loud. They're a little bit disrespectful. The only way that you can really like check them is just to fight them, you know.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you know, when you know the cats come from the other neighborhood, and you got to stand up for each other, like we all fighting for each other. And
Yeah.
so I just say my people, you know, like there was a
I
time
love
where,
that.
yeah, I wasn't always a Panthers fan. I grew up a 49ers fan. I'm older than the
Yep.
Panthers. And so, you know, my first time really experiencing a Panthers game, I was really still a fan of the 49ers, like officially. But I remember the 49ers winning that game, and I felt bad, right? I felt bad because like, I felt like I was on the wrong side of the win.
Yeah.
Like
Your people were let down.
my
Yeah.
people were hurting. I was walking
Yeah.
out of the stadium and my people were hurting, and I felt for them. And that was the first time I realized, like, ooh, like I don't know how
Yeah.
to feel about this. And so that's the first time I really felt connected to them. It wasn't in the most positive way, but I knew that they were my people, even though at the time I was wearing a different team's colors.
Oh, see, at the end of the day, no matter what you say about them, no matter how frustrated, no matter how sarcastic your tweets are, no matter how true your tweets are, no matter how honest you are, all the things, at the end of the day, that's your team. And I think
That's
that's how it should be. And
that's
I
my
think
people.
everybody, yeah. And at the end, I always tell people, all we want is for our teams to win.
Yeah.
And if I got every single thing wrong and they got every single thing right and they go win a Super Bowl, you know what I will do? I will be like, yes, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. And I just haven't had that moment yet. So
Yeah, I mean, that's just where I'm at, right? You know, like I
yeah.
had strong opinions about Bryce early last season. I believe they were valid. When he started playing well, I took it one game at a time, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and so like now I committed to going into this offseason neutral on Bryce, right?
Yeah. Which you should be because he has earned it. He got better. He
He
did
got
get
better.
better. He
He
did
got
get
better.
better.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was like, clean slate for him. All I want for him is just to continue to rise. And
Yeah.
so if we win a Super Bowl with Bryce Young at quarterback, I'm gonna be just as happy as the most insane Bryce stand, you know,
Yeah.
because ultimately we all won because he got better and better and better.
That's
And
it.
so it
That's
doesn't
it.
matter what take
Yeah.
I had about him in 2023 or 2024. If we lift another party in 2026, then I'm downtown Charlotte with everybody else.
Exactly. Well, we will end on you. Yeah, we'll end on you. I thank you for joining. Thank you for chatting with me. Thank you for always being willing to engage with me when it comes to this. And thank you for keeping your Twitter like entertaining, lighthearted, but dead serious.
Dead serious and
because
lighthearted.
yeah, because I think it's important. Like, and then anyways, it's just funny. And like I said before, I'll drop it in the description box below so everybody can just click the link and it'll take you right to X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it. I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't care. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And it will take you right there. But it's just good because I think that sometimes, and I could be guilty of this too, we take this so seriously. Like it's so serious, you know, like we have to win, we have to get the first down, we have to get the touchdown. And sometimes it's just not. And so it's nice to hear other people engaging with it differently.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Like I will be on there and I'm like, are we going to throw the ball down the field? No, 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 no. Okay, cool. Like, oh, another pitch play. Okay, whatever. Like I'm going crazy, but it's nice sometimes to read other people's stuff because I'm like, that's funny. So anyways, so thank you for being here. And like I said, whatever you want to tell us to end us out, we'll close it out that way.
Well, I'll just say this, this is like my why, right? Like my why, and I think your why is because we love this game as fans.
Mm-hmm.
And, this space gives us a platform. Sometimes it grows to be bigger than we even imagined it being. But ultimately, it's because like we live all year round for football, right? Whether it's NFL football, college football, whichever one you prefer. If it's both equally, then that's fine too. But the season that we have to like do this together is really like 4 months long, right? And so the passion comes from all of the build up and all of the time spent, watching your team make decisions, whether you agree or disagree. Mm-hmm. It all gets to come together in late August, early September, and you get to assess if your team is actually like doing the right things, but not doing the right things. And sometimes you see it unfold in real time. And sometimes it goes your way. It seems like for me, most times it don't. It's the finite amount of time, that we get to experience it annually. And so the passion, that you have, is valid. And it's cool to see it. It's cool to share it. It's cool to experience it with others. It's cool to share it across fan bases. I feel blessed to have met you in this space, and and get to like see your experiences as a woman and as a fan, and know that like your analysis is so on point and your passion is just on the same level, if not higher, than every man I know. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like it's just dope to experience, and I love it. So I ended on a note of gratefulness, to share the space with you, share with everybody watching on your platform. I'm gonna shout you out. You need to, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to Really Flawed, like, is it flawed? Really, really flawed? I don't know if I'm saying
it's really flawed. Yeah.
Really flawed. I see the comment that threw me off, but subscribe, follow her on Twitter. Beautiful person, beautiful sports analyst, football, so just stay together. It's a lot going on in the world right now. It's a lot of craziness, but football is something that we can all rally around as fans, love it or hate, the other fan bases and stuff. That's what makes it beautiful, but we all share this love for this game. So that's why I do this, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. You are always welcome. You are always welcome. And like I said, the best part, I said I was going to end on you, and then here I go. The best part about doing this is it is the relationships, yes, but it's also the connection, right? Because I think a relationship is cool, right? Like we're cool. Hey, yeah, we'll go your team, go my team. But it's not just that. It's like the actual connection of like, did you see that? Or did you hear that? Or is that true? Is that with your team? Or reaching out about players? And you know what I mean? Like that to me is what this is all about. And I think at first, a lot of people saw me as a woman of like, what is she going to say? Like, what is she even talking about? Yeah. And I feel like over time, people are kind of like, no, really, I want your opinion. Like, what do you see? Because you're seeing something I didn't see, and you called out that we haven't ran the ball for the past 12 minutes. I didn't see that. So tell me what else, you know what I mean? So like that connection has been the biggest blessing for me, because it's like, I have thoughts and I have an opinion, and I'm just going to say it. And if it bothers you, I'm sorry, but it's true.
And you're watching like the skill that you have. And this is why I know that the passion is real. Like you are watching everything, like all the time. Like you're paying attention, like whether or not you're like saying it or not.
You're giving away my secrets.
You are watching, and like some of the times that you like you comment on things that's happening, I'm like, oh, you paying attention to like the most obscure stuff.
So that's my secret. So I always tell people, I'm not going to ever really break down film. That's probably never going to be what I do. I enjoy watching other people do it because I know that they love it. That's not what I do. Everything else though, I can tell you Like, I don't know if you remember, but I was tweeting about Mark Andrews struggling against the Bills and Ravens game. And I was like, I don't like his body language. I don't like how he looks on the sideline. I don't like this. And he kept messing up. And I was like, and I was telling the Ravens, don't go away from the run. Like, I'm watching all of the things that nobody's paying attention to because they're just paying attention to, like, do we get the first down? Do we score?
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all didn't see that nobody picked him up off the field? Y'all, nobody saw that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, y'all, that team really doesn't like him. And people are like, how do you know that? I'm like, I'm just. So anyway, that's what I always say. I pay attention to the nuances, all the nuances that are happening in football. Like, call me, I'm the person. Like, if my instincts are usually pretty spot on. Like, there's things that I've called that people are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I told you.
I might have to pay you a fee to watch like the first 3 games of the Panthers this year, just so you can break down where the match.
Yeah, so I will sometimes. Yes, people that know me will call and they'll be like, "I know you watched it. Okay, what did you think?" Like, when I used to go to games too, it was better because I could see things. You know, you see things on the sideline. You see who's in the huddle. You see who's not in the huddle. You see who's arguing. You see who's going to the locker room early to use the bathroom. But really, they're not. They're pissed. But the TV's not going to show you that. So anyways, but you're right. I do pay attention to a lot of things. And every time I do this series, I realize how much I pay attention because I'm able to say something, if not multiple things, about every single NFL team. I have something to say about every single NFL team.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't, like they're not paying attention to, the teams that are not in their conference, not in their division. And, they really don't know much about it. They don't even know who's on the roster. Like, know a lot about every single team, and I respect that. And it's not just like you said, not just the players. You know about the storylines, and that's what all of that, all of the things that we follow, all of the build up, and fans don't get this. Like, so much of the NFL journey year after year is just the storyline buildups. That's what
and the connections from team to team, or like, I mean, even you, like with, who was it? 26?
Oh yeah,
for the Steelers. Yeah. And that's the other thing. I don't remember anybody's name. Like, I can tell you, whoever it is, tell me their number. And
I called him 26.
Yeah. So, but I remember all year, every time he made a play, you were like, really? The ball's just going to go right to him. And then
it was the ball. He's a ball magnet, but he cannot.
You would be like, I cannot believe he just got another interception with the ball thrown right.
Just thrown right to his hands. Like, he's just sitting there, not doing anything special. And it's like, interception because I'm 26. I'm glad that y'all moved on from him.
You and me both. Anyways, we'll end this here. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure we'll collaborate again in the future.
All right.